5 things you should never share with anyone. Good evening, beautiful souls. There's a power, an undeniable energy in knowing when to speak and when to keep silent. You know, in this life, there are some things that belong to you and you alone. Not everything has to be shared. And today I want to talk to you about the 5 things you should never share with anyone. Now, I know you might be thinking, but Oprah, aren't we supposed to share our lives with the people we love? Absolutely. But there are moments when holding on to certain things can protect your peace, nurture your spirit, and help you grow in ways you never imagined your deepest fears. You know, there's something profound about the way fear works. It has this sneaky way of creeping into your thoughts, whispering doubts in the quiet moments when no one else is around. It's the little voice that tells you, what if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if you're not worthy? And the truth is, every single one of us, no matter how confident or successful we may seem on the outside, has had those moments of doubt. I've had them. You've had them. They are a part of the human experience. But here's what I want you to really understand: your fears are a reflection of your growth. They show up the loudest when you're on the brink of something bigger. When you're about to step into a new chapter, when you're about to push past the boundaries of who you thought you could be. Fear is always present in moments of transformation, and that's why it feels so overwhelming. Now, the mistake many of us make is thinking we need to announce our fears to the world. We think sharing them will help us feel less alone, and sometimes it does temporarily. But in the long run, giving voice to your fears too early can sometimes give them more power. It allows other people to weigh in on something that's deeply personal, and not everyone is equipped to handle your fears with care. You see, fear feeds on attention. The more you talk about it, the more real it becomes. The more you share it, the more it takes root, and soon enough, other people's opinions start to blend with your own. That's why I believe there is power in holding those fears close, especially in the beginning. Let them live in your mind and your heart until you've worked through them enough to turn them into something else: strength, resilience, determination. Because here's the thing: fear is not the enemy. It's just an emotion, a sign that you're pushing yourself to new heights. But you have to know when to confront it in private before you let the world in. When you sit with your fear, really sit with it without rushing to share it, you can begin to understand where it's coming from. What is it trying to teach you? What is it revealing about the limits you've placed on yourself? Think about it. Every major breakthrough in life is preceded by fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But it's in those moments when you choose to face that fear, instead of giving it away to the world, that you grow. Fear doesn't define you unless you let it. And by holding it in, by keeping it sacred, you give yourself the space to conquer it on your own terms. You don't need to validate your fear by sharing it with everyone. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is confront it silently, work through it, and emerge on the other side with a lesson, not a scar. Your long-term goals. Let me tell you something I've learned from my journey. Your long-term goals or your personal vision for your life, they are the roadmap to your future, the dreams that make your heart race and your spirit soar. And hear me when I say this, not everyone deserves to know what you're working on. Your goals are sacred. They are the seeds you've planted in the soil of your soul, and like any seed, they need time to grow before they're ready to face the world. You see, too often we get excited about our dreams, and in that excitement we rush to tell others. We crave that instant validation, that nod of approval from the people around us. But here's the truth: not everyone can see what you see. Your vision is uniquely yours, and sometimes when you share it too soon, it can be met with skepticism, doubt, or worse, silence. And that silence, that can cut deeper than any words. The thing is, people don't always doubt you because they want to see you fail. Often they project their own limitations, their own fears onto your dreams. You tell someone you want to start a business, write a book, or move to a new city, and instead of excitement, you get, "Are you sure that's a good idea, or do you really think you can do that?" That seed of doubt they plant in your mind can start to grow, and before you know it, you're questioning the very thing you were once so sure of. That's why I believe in the power of keeping your goals private until they're strong enough to stand on their own. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting. It's about giving your dreams the space to develop without the weight of other people's opinions. Think about it: when a seed is underground, it's in the dark, unseen, but it's also safe. It's gathering strength, putting down roots, preparing to break through the surface when the time is right. Your goals need that same protection. They need time to breathe, to evolve, and to grow without the pressure of the outside world. In those early stages, when your vision is still fragile, sharing it too widely can expose it to the elements criticism, doubt, and even jealousy. You have to guard it like a treasure because that's exactly what it is. And I want you to remember this: there is no rush to announce your progress. We live in a world where it seems like everyone is constantly sharing every step of their journey. Social media has us believing that if we're not broadcasting our goals, we're not making moves. But here's the thing: real progress happens in silence. It happens in those late nights when you're working while everyone else is asleep. It happens in those moments of quiet determination when no one is watching. The most successful people don't shout about what they're doing, they let the results speak for themselves. They understand that the loudest voice in the room doesn't always carry the most power. So don't feel pressured to share every detail of your journey. Keep some things for yourself. Let your work unfold in private, and when the time is right, let your success speak louder than any words ever could. And when you do finally share those goals, when you're ready to bring them into the light, make sure they're coming from a place of strength, not insecurity. You don't need external validation to know that your dreams are worthy. Your goals don't need to be approved or endorsed by anyone else to be real. You are the only one who can give life to your vision. Your family problems. Family. It's a word that carries so much weight, so many emotions. It's where we come from, the foundation of who we are. But let's be real, no family is perfect. Every family has its struggles, its misunderstandings, and its challenges. But what I've come to understand over the years is that some of the most personal, sacred work we'll ever do in this life is within the walls of our own home. And that's why your family problems are not meant for the world to dissect and judge. You see, when you open up about your family issues to others, you're inviting them into a space that's not theirs to enter. Family dynamics are deeply complex, layered with history, love, pain, and yes, sometimes conflict. But the thing is, not everyone will understand. Not everyone will get the nuances of what you've been through or why things are the way they are. And once you let those stories out, they become open to interpretation, to judgment, and even to gossip. I want you to think about this family as where we are most vulnerable. It's where we've been shaped, for better or worse, by the people who have seen us at our best and our worst. So when you share your family's struggles, you're exposing that vulnerability to the world. And once it's out there, you can't control how it's received. Some people might mean well, offering advice or sympathy, but others might criticize, pass judgment, or worse, use your pain as entertainment. And let me tell you, nothing stings more than seeing someone take your family's private pain and turn it into a topic for discussion. We've all had those moments where we've confided in the wrong person, and suddenly the intimate details of our lives become fodder for someone else's conversation. That's a wound that takes time to heal. Here's the truth: family problems are not a spectator sport. They are not meant to be aired out for the world to see, because the world doesn't know your family the way you do. They don't know the love that exists beneath the arguments, the history that holds you together, or the silent understanding that sometimes only family can have. They don't know the full story, and they never will. That's why it's so important to keep those issues close to your heart, to handle them within the family unit where there is an opportunity for growth, healing, and resolution. When you share your family's struggles with the outside world, you rob yourself of that sacred space to work through things privately. Family problems need time, patience, and understanding, and that kind of healing doesn't happen in the spotlight. And listen, I know how tempting it can be to vent, to seek comfort from friends or even social media when you're going through something painful with family. But remember, once you let that story out, you lose control over it. You open yourself up to opinions and advice that might not align with what you need. Family is personal, and healing happens in that private space, in those conversations that are sometimes hard, sometimes messy, but always necessary. It's not about hiding your pain or pretending everything's perfect. It's about recognizing that not every part of your journey needs to be shared with the world. Your family's struggles are your own, and it's okay to protect that space. It's okay to say, we're working on it without feeling like you have to explain every detail. And here's the most important part: healing happens from within. The solutions to your family's problems won't come from outside opinions or judgment. They'll come from the love, the patience, and the understanding you bring to each other. It's in the quiet moments of forgiveness and the tough conversations that only family can have that real healing begins. Your generosity. Generosity is one of the most beautiful expressions of the human spirit. There is something profoundly fulfilling about giving, about reaching out and touching someone's life in a way that makes them feel seen, valued, and loved. But here's something I want you to hold on to: true generosity doesn't need an audience. We live in a world where so much of what we do is performed under the spotlight. People love to announce their acts of kindness, their donations, their good deeds, and while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, there's a different kind of power in giving quietly. The purest form of generosity doesn't come with fanfare. It comes from a place deep within, where you give simply because it feels right to your soul, not because you're looking for validation or praise. I want to tell you a story. I remember early in my career when I wasn't yet where I wanted to be, but I was working hard, striving, climbing. Back then, I didn't have much to give, but what I had, I gave. Quietly, whether it was a kind word, a helping hand, or simply showing up for someone who needed support. And the thing that struck me then, and still strikes me today, is that the people I helped didn't need to know my name or my intentions. What mattered was the act itself, the energy exchanged, the love given without expectation. When you give from your heart, there's no need to announce it. Your generosity should come from a place of wanting to make the world a little better, not from a desire to be seen doing it. And here's the thing: the most powerful acts of kindness often happen in the shadows, in those moments when no one's watching but you and the person who needed that little bit of light. There's a sacredness in giving that doesn't require recognition. Think about it: a tree doesn't ask for applause when it gives shade. The sun doesn't ask for praise when it rises every morning. They just give because it's in their nature, and that's the kind of generosity I want you to cultivate in your own life, the kind that flows effortlessly without the need for attention or reward. Generosity is not about grand gestures. It's not about writing a big check in public or making sure your name is mentioned when you've helped someone. Real generosity is about the quiet things, the things you do when no one is around to give you credit. It's in those small, silent moments that your giving takes on a deeper meaning. Think about the last time someone did something kind for you without expecting anything in return. Maybe it was a stranger who paid for your coffee, a friend who called just to check in, or someone who helped you when you didn't even ask. Those are the moments that stick with us because they come from a place of pure intention, a place where the giver just wants to help without expecting anything in return. Now, I want you to take that feeling and think about how you can be that person for someone else. How can you give without needing recognition? How can you be the quiet blessing in someone's life, the person who shows up just when they need it most? The truth is, when you give like that, when you give from a place of true love and compassion, the universe notices. You don't need to shout about it. Your kindness will ripple out in ways you can't even imagine, and it will come back to you tenfold, not in applause, but in the form of peace, of fulfillment, of knowing that you've made a difference in someone's life. Here's the thing, generosity isn't a transaction. It's not something you do to get something back, whether that's praise, recognition, or even gratitude. It's a spiritual practice, a way of showing up in the world with love and compassion. And when you give with that mindset, when you give because it's who you are, not because of what you'll get in return, that's when your generosity becomes transformative. You see, the world needs more quiet givers, people who aren't afraid to do good without needing a spotlight, people who understand that the impact they have on others is far more important than the attention they receive. I've come to learn that the quietest acts of generosity are often the most profound. They leave an imprint on the heart that lasts long after the moment has passed. Your private life. In this age of constant sharing, where our lives can be broadcast at the touch of a button, I want to tell you something that I've come to know for sure: there is power in privacy. In a world that encourages us to reveal everything, what we're doing, who we're with, what we're thinking, there's a sacredness in keeping some parts of your life just for you. Your private life is exactly that, private. It doesn't need to be explained, displayed, or dissected for anyone else's consumption. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly savored a moment without feeling the need to share it? Without posting about it, without letting the world in? There's a magic in holding some things close to your chest. Your deepest joys, your quiet victories, your intimate relationships, these are treasures, and not everyone deserves access to them. We live in a time where it seems like everyone is watching. Social media has turned us into performers on a stage we didn't even realize we stepped onto. We feel the pressure to share our accomplishments, our happiness, our every move, as though validation from the world is what makes it real. But I'm here to tell you, your life is real without an audience. There's something liberating about knowing that not every moment needs to be shared. Not every success needs to be announced. Not every relationship needs to be publicized. And not every aspect of your personal life needs to be a conversation. When you keep some things for yourself, you create a space where your experiences can exist without the weight of other people's opinions. The most intimate parts of your life are precious. Your relationships, your personal growth, your dreams, these are the things that fuel your spirit. And when you expose them too soon or too widely, they become vulnerable to the world's gaze. And let me tell you, not everyone who's watching is rooting for you. There's wisdom in protecting the things that matter most, in letting them develop and flourish without the need for outside approval. I've learned that privacy is not secrecy, it's preservation. It's about honoring the sacredness of your experiences, your relationships, and your journey. There's a certain strength in knowing that the most important parts of your life don't require validation from anyone else. They are enough simply because they matter to you. Think about the most meaningful moments in your life. Were they shared with thousands of people, or were they experienced quietly in the presence of just a few, or maybe even just with yourself? There's a peace that comes with keeping those moments private, with letting them live in your heart without the need for likes, comments, or outside opinions. Your private life is where your true self resides. It's where you can be unapologetically you without the pressure to perform, impress, or explain. When you keep some parts of your life private, you give yourself the gift of authenticity. You get to live fully, without the noise of the outside world influencing your choices or defining your happiness. There is beauty in protecting your peace, in not feeling the need to explain every choice, every feeling, every relationship. Some things are meant to be held closely, nurtured in silence, away from the eyes of those who may not understand or appreciate them. When you do this, you allow those aspects of your life to blossom naturally, without the distortion that can come from external pressures. Let me tell you this, when you share too much of your private life, you give people a seat at a table that they don't belong at. Not everyone is meant to have a voice in your personal matters. Not everyone deserves to know the details of your love life, your family, your personal growth, or your struggles. And when you give them that access, you also give them the power to judge, to criticize, or to misunderstand you. Protect your energy by being selective with what you share and with whom. Your private life is where your most valuable treasures are kept. It's the sanctuary where you can retreat, reflect, and recharge without the expectations of the world weighing on you. It's where you get to be fully present, fully in the moment, without the distraction of thinking about how others will perceive it. There's freedom in that kind of privacy. There's peace in knowing that some things belong to you and you alone. And here's the truth: the most meaningful parts of your life don't need an audience to be real or worthy. Your joy, your growth, your love, your peace, all of these things are real, regardless of whether anyone else knows about them. When you keep some things private, you honor their importance. You give them the space to grow and to be exactly what they're meant to be, without interference from the outside world. So as you navigate this life, hold on to the power of privacy. Understand that your most intimate moments, your deepest joys, your struggles, and your personal growth, those belong to you. You don't owe the world access to every part of who you are. It's okay, and even necessary, to keep some things for yourself. Your private life is your sanctuary, the place where your soul can breathe and your spirit can thrive without judgment or expectation. In a world that constantly asks for more of you, choose what you give wisely. Share when you feel ready, but never out of pressure. Protect your peace, honor your journey, and know that the most beautiful parts of your life can be lived quietly, with love and intention. True fulfillment comes not from how much you reveal to others, but from how deeply you cherish what's sacred to you. And always remember, you don't need an audience to validate your life. Your story is real. Your journey is valid. You are enough, just as you are, even in the moments you choose to keep private. Live your truth, protect your heart, and let your life be a reflection of the love and light that radiates from within. And that, my friends, is where true freedom lies. In the quiet, in the private, in the parts of you that only you get to define.